Hi, my name's Rob, and I'm here to talk to you about fake news. So, if you found this on your own, good for you. You're a lifelong learner. If a teacher's making you watch this, there will be pictures. Now, fake news isn't news. It's been around as long as news itself. It's just a fabricated story being represented as factual as news. So, what's the big deal? Well, there's more to the story. Context, people, politics, technology, culture have all played a role in redefining what this phrase means. Today, people call news that's opinionated fake news. People call news that's political fake news. As a matter of fact, people call news that they just plain old don't agree with fake news, and that's not exactly accurate. So, let's take a look at some different kinds of information sources to better understand what's out there. Fake news. The topic seems to be everywhere. In fact, one dictionary made it word of the year. The definition? Disinformation and hoaxes published on websites for political purposes or to drive web traffic. The incorrect information being passed along by social media. Now, this is a very updated definition of fake news, and in a way, fake news is as old as news itself. If we wanted a literal definition, fake news would simply be news based on a lie. However, the modern term means much, much more. Let's look at some other sources of news and information to compare and contrast them. Propaganda. Propaganda is similar to fake news because its goal is to promote a political cause. Propaganda and fake news have many similarities but differences as well. Fake news can be propaganda, and propaganda can be based off of fake news. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be. The two can also be independent of each other. Opinionated news. Opinionated news dominates modern news. Back in the day when people used newspapers, they were called op-eds. The author would give a strong take on some local or national topic. This style translated to television shows. These shows became popular with 24-hour news stations. Now, I have no statistic to support it, but I would wager the majority of news you see on the internet or on your Facebook feed would be considered opinion-based, or back in the newspaper days, an op-ed article. It is not fake news, and it isn't necessarily a poor source. You just have to know that it could be biased in the way facts are presented. Conspiracy. The internet is a great source of conspiracy theory content. But whatever the topic, the general theme revolves around a secret plan by a group to do something harmful. The group usually consists of people in power. Sometimes conspiracy theories are based on politicians, political parties, or governments. And in this context, they might be considered fake news. However, fake news is a targeted attempt to sway opinion, so that goal would need to be proven. Sensationalism. Sensationalism can be thought of as tabloid news. The topics usually involve interpersonal relationships of Hollywood stars. The journalistic integrity is low, and pages generally consist of many pictures taken by paparazzi photographers. Tabloids don't often venture into politics, but the subject does seem to be playing an increasing role in content. Social media. With rapid advancements in communication abilities, the spread of fake news has exploded. Before the internet, there were things called chain letters. With the advent of the internet, this was carried over to emails. People would be put on lists, and mass chain emails were sent making fictional claims. Today, spreading fake news is as easy as clicking share or retweeting. Most people didn't care. In the past, most people did not come into contact with conspiracy theories or fake news. Opinion pieces were not the emphasis of news reporting. However, things are different today. The topic of fake news entered mainstream consciousness in the 2016 presidential race. Fake news is so important today because people like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and their respective political parties discussed it and politicized it. When we say fake news in 2017, we don't necessarily mean a news story based in lies or fictional accounts. The term has become so politically charged and has been applied to perceived mainstream media bias or to dismiss non-mainstream media sources of information. This example shows two opposite definitions. So, fake news isn't anything new, and there have long been many different kinds of information sources available. Still, there's a reason why the phrase fake news spiked internet searches during the summer of 2016. Let's go back a little bit in history to put all this into context. So, let's put this into context. Starting in the 90s, the era of major players entered the picture. It was a time of transition that manifested in anxiety and trepidation over the future. X-Files, a show about UFOs and conspiracies, was a mainstream success. Bill Clinton became the first Democratic president in 12 years. From the very beginning, there were conspiracy theories and real questions about him. Some wild claims included Clinton having been brainwashed by Russians. There are many more wild claims, but also more serious accusations, including sexual misconduct and harassment throughout his political career. The president's libido ended up being the topic of an impeachment hearing. The 2000 election. Al Gore won the public vote while George W. Bush won the electoral vote, decided in a court ruling that happened to occur in the state where his brother was governor. The new millennium came with no Y2K or doomsday. The world didn't end. However, it changed forever on September 11th, 2001. Right when America seemed to be stabilizing in this new normal, the biggest economic disaster since the Great Depression occurred. Then came Barack Obama, the first African-American president and a symbol of hope to many, yet conspiracy material to others. Conspiracies ran wild, often contradicting themselves. There was even a conspiracy floating around that he was the Antichrist. The birther conspiracy became the most popular. People questioned the legitimacy of his presidency based on his citizenship status at birth. Fast forward to the 2012 presidential race and enter businessman reality TV star Donald Trump. Trump was a conspiracy theory candidate who supported birther claims. Trump didn't go far in that election, but we know how the story ends. Enter, or re-enter, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Fairly or not, conspiracies from the 90s came back concerning Bill, while Hillary had done a good job stirring up a few on her own. More investigations were to come. This time, they involved her use of a personal email server to send and receive classified information. The investigation lasted into Hillary's 2016 Democratic primary run. Speaking of that primary, Sanders gave Clinton much more pushback than anticipated. Hillary was amassing delegates at a faster rate than Sanders, even in states that Sanders had won. This is because superdelegates favor Clinton and were not bound to follow the majority vote. And then the bomb dropped. At the least, WikiLeaks showed Hillary in a poor light. At worst, the leak showed, amongst other things, an effort amongst party insiders to favor Hillary over Sanders in the primaries and unfavorable policies during her tenure as Secretary of State. Democrats did everything they could to marginalize the effects of the leaks, and this included questioning their origins. Then things started to get weird. The unthinkable happened. And that's not even the weird part. The weirdness stemmed from intelligence agency investigations into computer hacks that occurred during the 2016 presidential election. At first, the investigations seemed to be general in nature. Then they focused on potential Russian involvement with the backdrop of WikiLeaks, which Democrats claimed were Russian in origin, even though Julian Assange, the leader of WikiLeaks, repeatedly denied the claim. The story turned into a concerted effort by Russia to make Hillary look bad and ultimately supporting the election of... So now maybe we finally had our Manchurian candidate. This put the entire legitimacy of the election into question, and then the Trump administration started calling sources that disagree with them fake news. The rest is history. As you can see, there's more to this phrase than the mere dictionary definition, and that's important to understand as the public discussion of fake news forward. If you liked this video, be sure to click the thumbs up button, and if you'd like to learn more, then please subscribe. Keep an eye out for my upcoming videos, and thank you for watching.